What's going on, guys? I am Toxic Jordan. Welcome back to the channel. So I figured today we could do another little power level update video. It's been quite a while since we have done a video specifically focusing on this. Though nowadays a lot of my content tends to be kind of all running together, so I imagine some of the other specific topics that I've been focusing in other videos we will be kind of reviewing here because it's all kind of working in tandem together at the moment. All of the other grinds that are going on in game and just the situations going on within the community, things like that that I've been talking about in other videos will probably again be touching on here. But I want this one to be specifically power level focused. As you can see, I am creeping upon another pinnacle million, so we are about to cross the 28 million power level threshold here. It's been quite a while since I gained an entire million, and I was doing pretty good about posting a new one of these videos every million power level that I got. I did fall off of that pretty heavily in 2025, I'll say. But I also got to the point where I finished basically link leveling my box and had to move on to the, post-endgame strat, where you are basically duping free-to-play units and just going ham on all of that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about, what I've done thus far, basically since the last video in the playlist that this video is in with, going through my whole link leveling journey. The one titled It's Done, where I actually, fully finished link leveling my box, and then what I've done up to then into now. And there is also another highlight of something that I very recently changed over the past couple of days, or I guess it's been a couple of weeks now since I've made this decision to kind of shake things up again. So yeah, we will be going over all that stuff, but there is another reason that I wanted to go ahead and make this video now, and that is because we are actually going to go ahead and pull the trigger on a couple of key runs so that we can get across that 28 million threshold. So let's go ahead and take care of that first thing. The reason why I wanted to do that is because if we head into my box here, oh my goodness, let's just do it this way. Okay, so in my box, this is my 9s tag, so these are all units that I have at all link level 9s or higher, right? 4 link level 9s or more sitting on these units, so they're all going to be very lucrative for me getting, running in those in the guaranteed link level event here. But the problem is, I guess we can do it this way. If I go to my team building tag, so these are all characters that are like the top copies, right? The ones that I would actually use to put on teams. And then we filter by link level up possible. You can see there's a decent stack of them sitting in here. Now, it's not because I haven't actually link leveled them. For some of them, that is true. For the 5 Daima units that you see here, I haven't actually touched them as far as link leveling goes. So the Tamagami's Ku, and then the Super Saiyan 4 Goku here. I haven't touched any of them yet, but all of the other units here are already at link level 9, right? And they have just been sitting, waiting for me to use keys to be able to max them out. But I figured, now would be a good opportunity to do this. I do eventually want to make an entire video out of just using keys on literally all of these units that are in here. The first thing, there's basically 2 things that I need to wait for in order to be able to do that. The first of which is I want to accumulate a bunch of these Epic Showdown Gokus to be able to add in here, because once I eventually get a bunch of these to link level 9, you can only put one of them on the team at a time. So it would be a little bit inconvenient if I just went ahead and blew all my keys on these units here, and then I have a big stack of just these Epic Showdown Gokus, and I'm not obtaining any more characters at link level 10 but this Epic Showdown Goku. Then I'm not really going to be able to use keys in the future. So first what I want to do is accumulate enough of these Epic Showdown Gokus to be able to disperse them throughout all of these units, through my link level runs, or through my, the guaranteed key event runs, and then that way, it's just more efficient overall, right? It'll be a lot longer before I eventually get to that point where now it's only ES Gokus in my 9s box, and at that point I probably will just have to take the L and stop buying keys, and just deal with link leveling them straight up. So the other thing that I have to wait for in order to do that is to earn enough keys to be able to actually do enough runs to finish all these units, because right now I am a few months short on those keys. Per my calculations, I think it was like the end of June or July that I was going to be able to finally get enough keys to be able to do all these units, so we'll see. But the thing is, there are going to be some more units that have added in here from, you know, that pile of units that I've showed you that are like new units I've obtained. That have been added into this 9s, and then we've also got a couple of Hercule Boos here, you'll see, so that we're not going to get ahead of ourselves yet. We'll talk about that strat a little bit later, but there probably are going to be more and more units getting added into here, so we will see, but that is coming, and so, you know, for months now, I've been hanging on to these units. Like, I've had this guy since Black Friday. I think what Black Friday was when they returned on that little bait banner right before New Year's, and I coined this unit, and then I got him to 9s, and he's been sitting like that ever since. Yeah, so it's just, there are some units here that are getting pretty old at this point, and then I'm just ready to link level them, and especially because one of the brand new anniversary LRs I managed to get to 9s, so I figured I would just go ahead and do some of them here in this video. So, alright, that is enough blabbering about that. Let's go ahead and jump into the key event here real quick. I haven't actually looked in a while. I'm up to 90 keys now. Okay. I've still been diligent about buying them every month, just because, like I said, I do need a big stockpile of these. I plan to use them eventually. Let's see. I want to say I pre-built the teams. Yeah, they're down here. So we're gonna run these two teams here. So these are all, you know, top copies of units except for the Hercule Boo and then the ES Goku there. All right, so we'll go ahead and start out with this team. Should be easy peasy stuff. Okay, and then I guess we can get into the next part of the video, just talking about the strategy stuff, right? So, upon finishing my box completely, once I had, because originally my goal was the one in every slot for every character, you know, where you get every single step of the awakening path, obtain a unit for that. So I had finished link leveling everything in my box that I had obtained for that. It was like 3,000 plus units, something like that. But I still had a lot of box space left, right? Now I'm up to, I think it's 10 short of 5,000 box space is what I have currently. So I still had, you know, a solid like 1,500 extra box space, that was going to be able to be used, for link leveling whatever, right? But I didn't have any more units to do, so I decided that the Epic Showdown Goku would be the best way to go, right? Obviously, there are quite a few different free-to-play options that are pretty lucrative as far as power level is concerned, but what we know at this point is that the Epic Showdown Goku is the most lucrative, on a couple of fronts, right? Not only does he have more links available to him than any other unit, you know, 15 links, so giving him 15,000 power level per unit, link level 10. He also has more Dokkan Awakenings than any other unit. I mean, I suppose if you were to do, like, I guess, how does that work? Because he's got 4 Dokkan Awakenings, right? So you have a Dokkan Awakening here from the rare up to the base SR, and then from the SR to this base SSR. Dokkan Awakens again into the same, you know, like UR state twice, and then up to the TUR. So there's the 4 Dokkan Awakenings there. So I guess if you were to get a unit that starts at, okay, like the free-to-play Goku and Arale, they would also have 4 Dokkan Awakenings, right? Because it's an SR that goes all the way up to an LR. There's very limited units in the game that do that. But any of the other ones that have 4 Dokkan Awakenings are not going to have nearly the amount of links to level as this guy. So they're just not going to be as lucrative for you power level-wise overall, right? Make sure this is actually a different ES Goku, so I don't farm the same one twice, but it looks like it is. We're good. Go ahead and jump back in. Yeah, so basically highlighting, you know, just going for the ES Goku is going to be the best strat. Well, the problem is that you, again, as I already mentioned, you can only run one of him at a time on a team. So unless you want to sit there and farm one character at a time, it's kind of going to be pretty inefficient for you to be able to just work on ES Gokus, right? Well, the benefit that you have is that in order to actually maximize all 15 links for him, you have to link level him at 4 of his different awakening states, because the links are constantly changing as he is getting those awakenings, right? So you don't have that same luxury that you would with a lot of the other, basically all of the other lucrative free-to-play power level gaining units, where you can just Dokkan Awaken them to their maximum state, and then all of the links that they offer you are there at the max state. Right, because a lot of the other units, like the Hercule Buu, the Krillin and Vegeta, the Int Super Saiyan 3 Goku, the LR Babidi, right, all of those units are basically giving you extra links because they have some type of transformation or exchange or whatever it may be. So all of the links are populated at the top, as opposed to the the name of the character changing throughout the Dokkan Awakening steps, allowing you to get different links that way, right? So the downside of that is that it means that Epic Showdown Goku is actually very slow to link level, right? Because you have to basically think about it that like every time you want to gain 15 million power level worth of links with him, you have to basically link level him 4 times over. Because of the 4 different awakening states, right? So first he'll be at rare, and then you have to basically get him. You don't have to get all of his links to level 10, but there are a couple that you need, right? So it's high compatibility and Saiyan lineage. These 2 fall off at the next awakening state, so you have to make sure to get these 2. Oops, didn't mean to actually click the link there. So you have to make sure to actually get these 2 to level 10. Which is just RNG, whether those are going to be the first ones to pop. A lot of the times they are the last ones to pop, and then you've got all 5 of his links at level 10 anyway. If not, they'll be very close. And then you know, Dokkan Awaken him up to the next state, up to this guy, where he will have already had access to Z fighters and experience fighters, so those might already be at 10 or high links and stuff. But then In Fighter is a brand new link that he got, and that one has to be at level 10 as well, because you need all 3 of these on the left side to be at level 10. So you basically, again, even though it's only 1 link this time for In Fighter, you still have to basically go from level 1 to level 10 on a link. So it takes basically just as long to link level him as it would for an entire unit worth of links, right? And then it's the same rinse and repeat all the way up through the process. The only bonus that you get here is that this awakening state right here only has 6 links. And these 6 links are the exact same set that you get on the next Dokkan Awakening up. He just adds Blazing Battle. So you can actually skip that awakening state for him because he has all of the exact same links here. So that's the only time that happens, right? All of the other Dokkan Awakenings will change the link set. So yeah, but then in grand total, he's going to have 15 links for you. So you have to link level him 4 times over, and then you get access to 15,000 power level. Whereas, as for an example, Hercule Buu, who is like the second best, most lucrative like free-to-play power level unit, he's got 13 links all at the top Dokkan Awakening state. So you link level him once, and then you've got 13,000 power level. So it's going to be a lot quicker gaining power level if you're using characters like Hercule Buu, Krillin, Vegeta, the others that I've aforementioned, right? So for a while, okay, let me make a quick cut here actually, and I can pull up a graphic. I should have already pulled this up, but yeah, let me pull that really quick. 1 second. Okay, so for a little while, this was the strategy that I was pretty much swearing by. I was attempting to only run the Epic Showdown Gokus, and now for me, because I had all of the units in my box finished, this is what my team build looked like, right? I would be link leveling primarily on stage 38-7, because it had the best, link level rate available to you, aside from 35-6, which I don't think 35-6 is actually more lucrative as far as power level gains are concerned. Just because you have to use Piccolo Jr., who is, and if he doesn't show up on the first rotation, then you are gonna take a really long time to clear through it. And if you're using a full team of Epic Showdown Gokus here, obviously they're not gonna be like rainbowed or whatever. They might even just be, you know, like SA1 for you and stuff. They're gonna die. They're gonna absolutely get owned in that, because you have, you know, like 3, 4, 5 super attacks coming at you from all of the Ginyu Force members. They will not survive, especially because on Piccolo Jr.'s leader skill, they're not even on it. So they're getting no buffs or support from him at all. And then that also means that your total HP pool is dinky, right? So like 2 hits and you're dead. So it's just really, really inconvenient to auto on that stage. Also, you will have to manually select your friend leader every time, because it's not going to proc a Piccolo Jr. friend, since he doesn't lead basically your entire team. So I've found that 35-6 is basically a stage of the past with this team. It's just not usable at all. It's kind of as inconvenient as Dokkan Day, honestly. The only thing with Dokkan Day is that it's not quite as bad because there's only 2 enemies, but it's basically the same scenario, where you do risk dying with these characters, especially because unfortunately on Dokkan Day you have type disadvantage against both of the enemies there. So yeah, but you're kind of forced to use Piccolo Jr. there just to run through it quickly, because he does have the active that you know, ends it for you. The lucky thing about this team is that because you can only run 4 of these ES Gokus at a time in their different awakening states here, you have that 5th slot beside your leader that you can add another unit into, right? So what I would be doing is just adding like another AoE unit of some kind. And one thing that I was actually doing for a little while is I was using the AGL transforming Boo. So I guess let's go ahead and pull him up here. Not transforming Boo, manga Fat Boo. That's the one that I'm referring to. I was using him for a little while. He is definitely a decent option because of the fact that he's got a leader skill here. Right? So if you have, basically if you're running on either like Dokkan Day or a quest stage that has multiple enemy fights like 33-2 or 39-3, I suppose even 35-6 if you wanted to go that way, then he is going to be a massive buff to this team, right? Because he's got, you know, he's providing some ki to them so they can potentially actually super for you, though I think that that's actually counterproductive, because that's going to cost you time, because these units aren't actually killing, unless you're doing 33-2 on Z-Hard. If you're doing 33-2 on Z-Hard, then the ES Gokus themselves, as long as you get them to SA10, can actually kill the enemies. So then he helps out with that, but he is giving them real stats, which is the more important thing, because now you have a real HP pool, and you know you can more comfortably auto the stages and know that you're not just going to die to a random super when your rare Goku gets hit with 2 in a row or something like that, right? So yeah, this works out really well for you, because he himself is extreme, and then all of the ES Gokus are super, so this procs this portion of his leader skill. You won't have the extra 70, or that extra ki there, because you're not going to have all 5 types on the team. You know, him being AGL, and then you're basically stuck with like all tech and AGL between the ES Gokus. You just don't have enough team slots left to cover the other typings, unfortunately. So yeah, you won't be able to maximize the leader skill, but that's totally fine. It's more than enough, right? Now, the other thing is, if you have a Majin Buu Saga category ally on the team, which ES Goku does proc this for you, then, actually, I don't know if it's in all awakening states of him. I don't think it is. Like, the rare one probably isn't. We can check in game in a second and just double check that. But, I mean, if you're running all 4, it doesn't matter. But yeah, with the Majin Buu category ally on the team, basically, then you're getting the guaranteed super, the additional super. So even if he ends up in a situation where he doesn't get enough ki to super, you know that he is basically always going to super attack when he's on rotation, which is perfect because he has an AoE, right? So on auto, you never have to worry. Anytime that this unit is on rotation, he will do an AoE, kill all the enemies for you. And then you'll be perfectly fine there, right? So he is a really, really good 3rd unit to go in tandem with like the Piccolo Jr. strat. So yeah, that was one thing that I was doing for a while. After I switched off of 38-7, The reason why I switched off of 38.7, by the way, is just because it is so stone intensive for you, right? Actually, there's another little tidbit that I want to pull up here. Give me one moment. Okay, so this is some info that I just kind of collected and compiled here, just to be able to do a soft comparison between some of these stages that you might be running to link level. So the ones we've got listed here is 33.2 on Z hard. This is basically a very common, a common strat for players who don't want to spend a lot of stones on stamina. Because doing it on Z hard specifically, there's not really that big of a link level rate difference between the Z hard and super. On super, you've got the 1.0625, and on Z hard is just 1. So it's only a 6.2% difference in your chance to level up links, and then you're saving a whole 5 stamina. This is like 5/5, and this is 4/5. That's a weird way to compare those, but yeah. So I guess you could say this is 4/5 of this. Yeah, whatever that works out to in decimal form or percent form, I'm not too sure. But yeah, so that's what is that, like 80% question mark? I guess I think that would make sense. It's like 80%. So you're definitely getting a better deal. Like per stamina spent, the amount of links that you're going to be leveling up is this is like pretty much your best option in game, as far as that goes. So yeah, the only problem with it is that you are down to a link level rate of 1, and that is absolutely minuscule comparative to something like 38.7 that's got a link level rate of 3.25, right? And I think 35.6 is the only one above this that's at 3.5625, so just a little bit higher than that. But again, we already went over why that one's not quite as lucrative here. But yeah, 38.7, you're going to be spending the 27 stones, or not 27 stones, 27 stamina per run. But I've listed my clear times here as well. This is with factoring in that you've got the Hercule Boo as the leader, and then not Hercule Boo, the Manga Fat Boo as the leader, and then the 2 Piccolo Juniors, one for the secondary unit on your team, and then 1 for the friend lead as well. So basically 3 AoE units on the team. As you're autoing the stage over and over, you're going to be averaging like 2-minute and 30-second clears here, because there's 5 fights to get through. So this does take you a lot longer to get through. So if you factor spending 20 stamina every 2 minutes and 30 seconds versus spending 27 stamina every 22 seconds, you can imagine the savings, right? You're just going to be saving massive, massive amounts of stones. Yeah, I guess, I did some soft calculations here too. So this first graph is focused around when we're on the 2 times XP periods, and then this is when we're on the 4x XP periods. And then I've got a separate graph down here just highlighting the training in the clouds and the time chamber event for Dokkan Day, right? Obviously, the Dokkan Day is going to be the best, the most lucrative for, like how much you're ranking up, all of the link levels that you're gaining, all of that. Because it has a massive link level rate of 7, right? Both of those stages have these astronomical link level rates. Okay, yeah. So basically, that's what I was trying to point out, is that the massive amount of stone usage that you're going to see is going to be much bigger here. So like if we look at 38.7, we're just using like massive amounts of stones per day. Right? It's just not super worth doing. Versus doing something like 33.2, you're using far less stones per day. So it just doesn't really feel worthwhile to me to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more stones, because we have some evidence from other players who have been running 33.2 on Z hard for years now, who are basically netting very similar results to me as far as the total level of power level, or the total amount of power level gained. And I think there's definitely a few things to speak to as far as that's concerned. One, it's not like a one-to-one comparison, because we've never had one individual person go from, you know, doing 38-7 the way that they normally would, and then switching to 33-2 the way that they normally would. We pretty much have, like, multiple members of the community that are biased one way or the other, and then we're just comparing to each other. And it's such a vague comparison, because we're all saying that we link level, quote-unquote, all day, every day, but that's different for everyone, right? Everyone gets a different amount of sleep, everyone has a different lifestyle, everyone has a different device that they're Dokkaning on, everyone, you know, has different jobs that may or may not hinder their ability to link level as much. And also everybody has different goals within Dokkan, so the amount of other grinds and other things that you're spending your time on are going to be different as well. So it's really, really hard. It's a little bit of comparing apples to oranges, which I hate that phrase. Why can't fruit be compared? But yeah, like you know, it just doesn't make perfect sense. But basically, with those kind of, with like, just looking at the comparison between, like, my grind over the years versus others who have been doing 33-2 over the years, it looks like it is about the same results. However, over the past couple of months, since I have been, since I have switched to 33-2 on Z-Hard, I did that for, I want to say, almost a month. And then after 39-3 released, and the countdown celebration started, we got the 4 times rank up XP. I switched to 39-3 just to help me, you know, kind of balance some rank up, as well as not just, you know, going strictly for link levels. I figured it would be worth during the 4X, you know, campaign period. So between those two stages, which, again, they are very, very comparable, 33-2 on Z-Hard is only going to be 20 stamina, whereas 39-3 on Super is going to be 27 stamina. And you actually have an 8.7% difference with the link levels. I will say, that feels like enough that I can actually feel it. It is exactly the same as far as there's 5 fights. 4 out of the 5 having the multiple enemies on them. So it is basically the exact same stage as far as that's concerned, so the clear times are not going to change for you at all. It's just, again, a little bit more stamina spent, but you're getting a lot more rank XP, you're getting a lot more incredible gems, you're getting a lot more rank XP. I said that twice, what the heck. And you're getting a noticeable amount more link levels, I will say. So I personally am a fan of 39-3, and I think from this point in the future, I'm probably just going to be sticking with 39-3 primarily. I don't think I'm going to be going back to 33-2. It just did feel a little bit slower. And I will say, even now, having being, you know, primarily running 39-3 for the last couple of weeks, I think 38-7 is faster. I think it is. The main thing that slows you down working on 38-7 is the fact that it's unrealistic to be resetting your device every 20 seconds. Almost no one has the ability to, like, while autoing the game and just living the rest of their life, actually tap into Dokkan every 20 seconds, right? So that's where you end up getting slowed down. And I think if you actually are that tapped in and you're actually resetting your runs every 20 seconds, then 38-7 is going to be giving you a considerable amount more link levels than these other stages that have 5 fights on them, right? But just because that is such an unrealistic thing, and it's more likely that you're going to be tapping into your phone every 2 or 3 minutes, then it makes more sense to run these other stages, because ultimately you're not going to be losing out on that much power level. And you're going to be saving, like, hundreds and hundreds of Dragon Stones over time. So, yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on the matter, as far as, like, what stage you kind of should or could be running with this strategy. But yeah, so that's basically what I've got here, as far as 33-2 Z-Hard being the stamina efficient stage, and then 38-7 being the high rank XP one, and then now we also have 39-3 as an option, which, again, I think is a much better option than 33-2, just because of all of the other things that you gain from it as well. So yeah, so this is what I was doing entirely for a couple of months now. So I think in October, I finished my entire box. And that was right before the reverse update hit, which made all of the SSR characters that I had just immediately Dokkan Awaken up to their TUR states, and then any LRs that I had reversed went all the way up to their LR states. So I decided to go and recollect the entire free-to-play game again so that I could replace those one in every slots that had just been taken away from me right after finishing my entire box. And then I finished link leveling all of those units again, and that was taking me through probably like mid-November to finish-ish. And then at that point, all I had left was these ES Gokus. So for the past like 2 months or so, almost 3 months now, the only units that I've been able to link level, aside from like brand new units that I've acquired, have been these ES Gokus. And let me tell you, it has slowed me down so much. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the leaderboard here. So if we... Okay, let's do it this way. We'll go back to... let's go back to November. Yeah, like right here. Okay, so like somewhat mid-November. Sure. Okay, so this is the big boost because it's right after Dokkan Day. So obviously I got a good amount of power level here. One thing that I tried really hard to do when I was just doing the full ES Goku strat was to basically try and get a bunch of them to high awakening or like high link level states, so that I had a mass pool of them that were already like link level 7 plus, and then I could just on Dokkan Day rip through a bunch of them over and over and over and like link level 10 and actually like finish those off, because especially on stage 33-2, it's gets much harder with that low link level multiplier on there to link level like links like 8, 9, and 10. Those are very tough to do, and that's where I was seeing the slowdown happen a lot there, and that's where it feels like 39-3 even helps with that a bit. So yeah, that's how I was basically getting a decent amount of power level there. But that is just Dokkan Day. Outside of Dokkan Day, down to 58,000 power level. Now these updates are like every 3 days ish. It's been a little bit shaky as of recent times, but I don't blame Russ for that at all. He's got a life, he's doing other things, and this is something that he has to manually do every time he wants to, right? Start this data poll and then update the website. So yeah, it's okay if it's off by a little bit. I'm not shaken about that. Just mentioning, pay attention to the gaps in time here, because they are going to be slightly varying. Okay, so then you can see I only got about 26 million, or 20, I wish. Yeah, 26,000, another 22,000. Okay, that was a little bit of a bigger one, 76,000. This next one should be big, because this would include Dokkan Day. Yeah, 134,000. In fact, this one being on the 30th, I think this one actually split Dokkan Day. This update happened in the middle of it, potentially. I'm not 100% sure the time on that day, that would have happened. But I guess just based on the date, it makes sense that it would have been... Yeah, it probably... Yeah, it would have had to be in the middle of Dokkan Day then. Especially because I got all of this here. Yeah, so that's why those were like a little bit larger again, was just because of Dokkan Day grinding. Oh, wow, I actually still was managing to keep it up. I'm not sure what happened here. From the 3rd to the 7th of December. I don't know why I got such a massive boost there. That is a little bit interesting. Okay. Neat. Maybe I did some key... I don't feel like I did any key runs. Maybe I was just still doing that well on, like, my power level gains. Also, maybe I was still using 38.7 at the time? I don't think that I was. I guess it's possible I was still using 38.7, because I am getting quite a bit of power level per update here. Yeah. Or this... Oh, you know what it was? We're still in the point where I had, like, another unit on the team. So I was going to... I was on the slower stage already. I was already doing, like, 33-2. But I was running, like, all ES Gokus, and then I still had, like, another like that 5th unit on the team was just another random unit that was being link leveled. It wasn't just like an already link leveled unit to where I was only doing the 4 units that I was link leveling at a time, right? So yeah, it is starting to fall off here, as you can see at the turn of the year. Oh, okay, and then this was the this was the big update that they did, where they modified the way that you know, all the things that the way that we earn power level, right? So this is when they added like the rank 2000 update, basically, when they added ranks giving you power level. They modified the amount of power level that you earn based on stage cleared. Instead of it being a flat amount for every stage, it depends on the difficulty of the stage. So we got a bunch of extra power level gain from that. You know, all of that stuff basically factored in here, and then gave us a bunch of power level all at once. And I think it was the quest stage cleared thing changing was what most of this power level was there, aside from, again, just rank. The other things were just cosmetic, but they didn't actually change the power level earned. So yeah, we got a ton of power level there. That was really cool. Obviously, everybody else did too. Okay, this is another Dokkan Day. Went pretty ham on that one. Oh, I'm actually recalling now. Once we got towards the end of where I had like characters left to link level, I was only doing them on Dokkan Day. And I was outside of Dokkan Day was only doing ES Gokus, and then I would just wait for Dokkan Day to hit, and then that's when I would go in and you know, work on like other units, because I could just do a Piccolo Junior team and then not have like ES Gokus on the team. I think I would have like 2 ES Gokus on the team or something as opposed to the full 4. Because another thing I needed to do was build a stockpile of each of the awakening states of ES Goku. Just because, you know, if you only have like 1 of the SS3, 1 of the Angel Super Saiyan, and then 1 of the like AGL Angel SSR, and then you just have a big stockpile of the rares, then you're going to be constantly running out. Every time you link level 10 one and you awaken it, then you're not going to have another one to put in its place. So for a long time while I was building up, I had to like fill them in so that I had, you know, like 20 plus of each. And even then, it was still getting a little bit wonky because of something I was doing with keys, which I guess I'll talk about once we go back in game, once we're finished with this. That's another good thing I should mention. Okay, so now we're at the turn of the year. Wow, this was even... Wait, what was the last Dokkan Day? Oh, we did have... I did notice a big spike there. Okay. So yeah, you can see the gains have gone down. Still managing to muster like 45,000 per update. Not as insane as my grind once has been. My grind once looked more like this, right? And it's just it's becoming so puny here. This was definitely after okay, another Dokkan Day here. But yeah, this was definitely after I made the switch. Look at that. 13,000. That hurts so bad. So bad. And this is not yet at the point where 7,000. Oh my goodness. Partially some of this, okay, I must mention some of this is because of I was moving. So very recently I actually moved houses, so I was handling a lot of that stuff with my life. Meant I was you know, just doing other things. I wasn't quite as, you know, head buried in Dokkan all day every day as I normally am. But more importantly than that, it's this ES Goku thing, right? And I guess with the anniversary starting and stuff, this was also just me doing other content in Dokkan because there was a lot of other stuff to do. So I wasn't like link leveling actively as much. But yeah, it was because of this ES Goku grind. It was just slowing me down massively when I had, especially like when I had switched to the slower stage and stuff. So yeah, it's a lot harder to gain a big amount of power level quickly. This is another Dokkan Day. Again, only getting the 118 on Dokkan Day feels bad. Definitely could be more, right? But yeah, so then these last few updates have just been really bad, right? 26, 24. Okay, 50 is definitely not as bad. Oh, I'm sorry. 6'2", 6'9". Oh, yeah, this is Dokkan Day. Okay, and then 100k here for the last Dokkan Day that we had. All right, and then the most recent update just a couple of days ago, or I guess yesterday, another 50k. So it's going really slow. It's slowed down quite a bit. which is really, really unfortunate. And I suppose I should have been showing this off on the both list, but the problem is every time I reset to one of these, it goes back to the top, and I actually have to scroll down a little bit to see me, so it would have been annoying. But back when I finished my box, back when there was a point where I was creeping on Nagi. This player is someone that I've been tracking for a very long time because he is also on the Dokkan info leaderboard. So this is someone that I've been creeping on for a very long time. I had almost passed him, but then his gains have just been so much bigger than mine on a lot of these updates over the past months that I am just getting like blown out of the water, and there's nothing I can do. Like he's just destroying me. Like he's so much farther ahead of me now. Also, congrats to him for breaking into that 30 mil range. The next person to do so. Pretty exciting stuff for him. But yeah, so it's a feels bad falling this far behind, and it makes me feel like it's going to be basically impossible to catch Migate doing this. Like, I mean, obviously it's not impossible because like there will be an end goal to this, right? Which there'll be an end to Migate's grind when they are out of box space. And then the end to my grind would be when I'm out of box space. But I still have a lot of box space to go if I'm filling it with only ES Gokus, right? I'm going to be able to pass up Migate's power level. It's just the conversation of, after experimenting with it for a couple of months, looking at the forward trajectory of how long it's going to take for me to gain that amount of power level doing this strategy is going to be so insanely slow. It's going to take years. I literally will not be first on this list until like 2029 or 2030. And I do not think that I am gonna stay dedicated that long if I'm not in the lead, if I'm not winning. So we had to yet again change the plan. So, the new plan, what we are planning on doing now, is we are going to run teams that look a little bit more like this. So it's still the ES Goku strat. We've got our Yamcha leader. Right now, obviously, I'm doing a Yamcha team because I'm running the Whis Equip event for a while, which I'm still getting decent links on. That's another thing that's kind of hurt me a little bit over these last couple of updates, is that I'm running the Whis event, so my link leveling isn't going quite as well because I'm on a lower, you know, like, it's not as lucrative of a stage for link leveling, I suppose. Well, I mean, I guess based on the rate that we have, it's still a little bit higher of a link level rate. It's 1.25, so it's a little bit higher of a rate than I would be getting on like 39.3 or 33.2. Not as good as 38.7, but then I'm also spending the same amount of stones I would be getting for 38.7, so there's kind of a trade-off there, right? But yeah, that's another little piece I forgot to mention that is affecting the amount of power level I'm gaining. But yeah, so we've got the Yamcha team going, and then we have, you'll notice, only 3 iterations of ES Goku here. We have the fully awakened Super Saiyan 3, and then the bottom 2 states, so the rare and then the SR. And then the other 2 units to fill in the team are Hercule Buu and Krillin Vegeta. Now, over the last like 2 updates, I've noticed that even with the little amount of link leveling I'm doing, because I'm doing other content in game, again, not link leveling super lucratively because I'm on the Whis event stage, I'm still outpacing my growth from previously when I was just using the full ES Goku strat with just those 4 units on the team. Because now, instead of having one whole team where I have access to 15,000 power level through links, like all 4 units together combined equals 15,000 power level, it's now like adding, I took 1 unit off the team, which doesn't subtract from the 15,000 because it's just one of the awakening steps of ES Goku, so I still have access to basically 15,000 links through them. I guess maybe it's like -3, because there's probably like 3, I think there's 3 links on that awakening stage of Goku that I don't have access to link leveling actively while he's not on the team, so we'll call it 12, down to 12 links from him, but then we've added, 13 here and 13 here, so that's another 26 on top of the 12, putting us at 38 links at a time, as opposed to just 15 links at a time, right? So it's a lot more links at once that I'm able to work on, which is really, really good. So that is definitely helping. So basically my new strat at this point is I am going to be refilling my box with just these 2. I don't want to use any of the other, like, quote-unquote Migate strat units, I think that I'm going to avoid using those. Just because they're not quite as lucrative, right? We have the Hercule and the Krill and Vegeta that do have the 13 links, and all of the other units on that team have quite a bit less. Which, again, is the reason why I'm going to be able to pass Megate, because his box is full of units, that some of which only have, like, 9 links, 10 links. And, you know, my ES Gokus are going to outscale that by a ton. So that's going to be the idea for now. So that I can get back on pace, moving quickly, gaining power level at a decent rate, I am going to, you know, be doing the Hercule Boo and Krill and Vegeta strat as well. And then, you know, just filling up my box that way. And then once I eventually get to the point where I am first on this power level leaderboard and I have passed Megate, then we can worry about deleting the Hercule Boos and the Krill and Vegetas and replacing them with ES Gokus to milk out that extra little bit of power level. But there's another thing that's more important than the minimal power level gains, and that is the Dokkan Awakenings. Because I did mention earlier, feels like an hour ago at this point that I mentioned it, but the amount of the Dokkan Awakening leaderboard here. So the amount of Dokkan Awakenings that ES Goku has, being 4, is going to make me pump this number up massively. And I've already calculated it. I should be able to get first on this leaderboard as well, once I'm fully finished and have all the ES Gokus down. Right. So I guess the last... Oh, I'm so silly. I'm not even on the webpage. Here. Okay. So yeah, the Dokkan Awaken leaderboard. Currently 9th on it, and, you know, I am thousands and thousands below Forte, but again, I've done the math, and with the amount of box space I have available to me, and with all of the units that I plan to get rid of, which, again, that's the next thing that we'll talk about here in a second, with all of those units that I plan to get rid of, I should have enough space to gain the Dokkan Awakenings necessary through ES Goku to get first on this leaderboard as well. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and look at that. So I recently made a tag in my box. I went through my entire box and basically decided that I am going to nuke my entire box in benefit of, like, getting power level, right? So I made this little tag called Zeno-sama, because all of these units will eventually be erased. So you can see it's quite a few of them. 1409. Ooh. I actually need to take... I think I need to take these guys out. All of the Krill and Vegetas and Hercule Boos that I'd previously finished, only because I'm about to do a bunch more that are also not going to be included in this. So yeah, I'll edit that and I'll take these out. But how many is it? Let's see. I have 140, but I recently added 50 of each. So there's like 90 here that are link level 10. And then for these guys, again, I added 50, so it's only like 20 of them. So yeah, it's like just over 100 extra units here. So it's probably more like 1,300 units that are actually in this box that are going to be gotten rid of. But a lot of them are units like this, right? These, like, normals and stuff that have, like, literally 1 link or 2 links on them. And obviously I'm going to be able to get, like, a lot more done with this box space here by getting rid of these units. And the thing is, I went and got a 1 in every slot for all of these units, too. So for now, I think the conversation is basically what I've put in this box. I didn't put a top copy of any unit in the game in this box. All of the top copies I'm keeping because I want to be able to have at least 1 copy of every unit, right? Aside from that, everything else is fair game. So I've put everything else in here. Now there's one other thing that I've accepted from putting in here, and that is exclusive units, right? So any units that you can no longer get, which there's like those few random ones here and there that they've given out as special rewards and stuff. And then there's also the World Tournament rares and SRs, because they're not in the shop and that banner doesn't exist anymore. So those are just kind of a question mark. And then the other thing is any units that I've already invested hidden potential system orbs into. I didn't want to put any of those in here because there is yet another leaderboard related to that, right? We have the hidden potential leaderboard that I'm also doing very well on. 11th overall in the world. There's a lot of JP players that are doing really well on this, though. It looks a lot more exciting here if we just look at the global side of things. I am 5th on this, and I currently have enough hidden potential orbs in my possession and enough units in my box to get to 3rd on this list. I could pass Russia and Toon, like, very easily, if I wanted to. The problem is, the units that I would be investing my hidden potential into are units that I am slated to get rid of, right? Because they're like SSR copies of units and stuff. They're units that are in this Zenosama tag. So I'm just kind of waiting on that, because I don't know if I want to invest the orbs now and then delete the units and then not only lose, go back down on this list, but then also lose out on those orbs. Just don't exist anymore. Whereas now, at least, I'm still lower on the list because I'm not investing them, but when I delete the units, then I'll still have the orbs in my box. But the problem is, these are all excess orbs anyway. I don't need them for, like, I mean, I guess I theoretically do need them for new characters, but I have such an excess of them that it's fine. I have enough for new characters, and I'll be able to gain more over time too. But the real problem is that the end goal, right, is to only have the ES Gokus in my box. So once I'm at the point where it's all top copies of units that are, again, already all invested with hidden potential system orbs, and then just ES Gokus, the only type of orb I would need is green. I would only need the tech orbs to get him rainbowed over and over and over again, and I wouldn't be able to do anything with the other orbs anyway. So now I'm at this funky point where I'm sitting here, 5th on this leaderboard, and I don't really know if there's a way I'm gonna be able to move up on this, because it feels like the only unit I can invest these orbs into is ES Goku, otherwise it's just a waste, because it's a unit that I'm going to delete anyway. Again, unless I'm doing natural growth through obtaining brand new units. That would be the only other way that I'm adding to this, which I have been adding to, little by little. Like the Tamagamis that came out, Ku that came out, any other new units that I pull, I'll just invest orbs into, obviously, and then go from there. Or dupes of other units that are like top copies, real units that I'm using, and then I'll feed orbs that way, right? But then at that rate, my growth is going to be the same, if not, probably lower, than Toon and Russia. Well, I don't know. Russia's a question mark, but Toon for sure, because Toon is a whale on this game, and he rainbows every new release that comes out, basically. So he's obviously going to have more access, if we're only talking about investing hidden potential into new units, which is basically all he's doing at this point. Then he's going to outpace me, because I'm not obtaining as many new units or dupe paths as he is, to be able to do that. So I basically would theoretically never pass him, unless I'm able to obtain so many more tech orbs that I can just keep investing into ES Goku, right? And for now, and for the foreseeable future, I guess, there's no way to convert orbs between the colors, so yeah, it just kind of feels like a waste. So I don't know. It's a conversation that I haven't yet gotten to the end of, and we'll see what I end up doing with them over time. I'm not sure if I want to invest them now to jump up this list, and then eventually, once I get to the point where I'm out of box space and have to start deleting units, and get to that fated point where I have to start deleting URs, that I would, then have to go back down this list and lose out on those orbs. So I don't know. Haven't really decided. But again, I have a long time to decide, because there are quite a few units sitting in this Zenosama tag that are just unawakened SSRs that could never get any, orb investment into them to begin with. There is so many. In fact, how many URs are even in this? Okay, there's still a good amount. Remember that all of the Hercule Boos and stuff are in here, so it's like 300 units or so that are still like real units in my box that I could invest hidden potential orbs into. But again, probably won't. So we're gonna do this in a bit of a hierarchy. So looking at my entire box at the moment, I've got 4720 out of like 5,000 filled. There's also a bunch of junk in here from all of my anniversary summons. Oh, there's a lot of junk in here. Oh my goodness. I have no idea how many units that is. I want to say that's something like over 100 units sitting in here right now. I definitely have a little bit more box space to work with than that. Yeah, it's closer to like 400 for sure. So, you know, I'll be able to, I still have like over 400 ES Gokus to link level that are sitting ready to go in my box. And then like I mentioned, I got 50 of each of the Hercule Boos and Krillin Vegetas recently. So I've got a bunch of these ready to go as well. So the plan now is to just keep grinding through those 3 units over and over and over again until my box space is full. And then once my box space is full, that's when I'm going to dip into the Zenosama tag and start deleting units to make room for more of them. And then it's going to be rinse and repeat until the Zenosama tag is completely empty and they have all been replaced with Hercule Boos, Vegeta Krillins, and ES Gokus. And then that will be another checkpoint where box space is full. I've got those 3 units filling up everything except for like top copies, and again, anything I've already invested hidden potential system orbs into. And then at that point, I'll start deleting all of the Krillin and Vegetas and Hercule Boos and replacing them with ES Gokus. And I probably won't have to worry about that for at least another year and a half, maybe 2 years or something. So yeah, hopefully with this new upgraded strat, I should be able to pass up Nigate. But yeah, so I do not... one thing that I want to avoid, for sure, is... let's go back to the power level leaderboard. I guess let's go back 1. No? Back 2? No? Back... Oh, back 3? Am I crazy? Okay, we technically saw one of them there, but it's not the example I'm looking for. I swear... Okay. This is what I want to avoid right here. This is bad. I imagine that... I haven't talked to Friendwin specifically about this, but I've seen it happen to multiple. You know, The Truth was one of the first people doing this. Lotad did it at one point. I think, actually, if we go back another 1 or 2, we'll see Lotad do this. Yep. Lotad went down a bunch from deleting units, because there's a lot of us endgame power level grinders that have gotten to the point where we've decided, okay, it's going to be worth nuking our box. We are going back on the idea of collection, either... you know, reversing the damage from the reverse update and deleting those type of units, or deciding to alter the strategy with collection, no longer going for 1 in every slot with all these characters, deciding to delete these characters instead and replace them with more lucrative power level gains. And these guys are actually going down in power level with these updates because they're deleting so much at once that it's just tanking their power level. I am too high on this leaderboard to let something like that happen. Nuh-uh, not me. When you're one of these guys in here, like, don't get me wrong. Okay, here first, so I don't sound like an elitist. This top 100 is insane. All of these players are extremely dedicated. This is incredible, right? 10 million power level is so freaking hard, and I am definitely not out of touch, right? I always give Truth shit for this when he makes videos on content and then he tries to speak for the player base or speak on behalf of the player base. Talks about how, oh, the new Easy A is so good because, you know, you have him for the first 3 turns and then you transform him and then you have his you know, passive skill will last for another 3 turns. What fight are you even still doing by the end of turn 6? Yeah, bro, we don't have all of our units rainbow. We don't have every single unit in the game. All of them rainbowed, link level 10 with God equips on them. That's why you're finishing your runs in 6 turns. Other people take a little bit longer when they have a slightly nerfed team from what you're using, right? Like, he's completely out of touch with the wider player base. And I will say, the fact that I grind a secondary account, the fact that I have, you know, my JP account that I keep up with, and it's at much lower power level numbers, I don't sit there and grind all day, every day. I only spend my stamina as I get it, right? Like, you know, as it fills up naturally over time and stuff. I play that game much more passively, like a quote-unquote normal person would. I do understand what it's like, what it feels like to be a normal player getting power level gains. So, definitely it's huge to be getting all of this. But what I'll say is if you're mixed in here, and you've got other people in the same level of millions as you, it's not like that, I guess, big of a deal if you're losing power level, right? Like, shifting spot, basically, my point is, the lower you go on this list, shifting a couple of spots means less and less. But I'm third. I have a medal right now. There's literally millions above and below me. It's such a huge gap. It would be such a feels bad to get back to the point where now Zaptrix is on my heels again, right? Like, Frenwen has the potential to pass me or something. I'm not letting that happen. I will not go down in power level. So I'm going to be doing this in very, very minuscule chunks. Now, I have already gotten rid of a couple of units. Just a couple. Because I pulled, what was it? The AGL Champa banner unit I got for the first time. So I fed in some, like, the free-to-play SSR for the STR Champa. I fed that in for super attack level on him, right? Pan had the easy A, so there was a couple of the like the int SR and the tech SR that are just like summonable. Those pans, I had one in every slot for those characters, which I guess is just like the unawakened SSRs, right? So I fed those in for super attack level. You know, things like that, right? I had other summonable pans that I just had, like unawakened SSRs or the SSR copy or whatever. I fed all of that in for super attack level whenever I needed to, right? Same thing with Omega Shenron, because I just pulled my first copy of him during this anniversary. So the AGL SR Omega, I guess the SR Sin Shenron that Dokkan awakens into Omega Shenron, I had a one in every slot for him, so that was like 3 more units that I was able to just awaken all the way and feed in for super attack level. So I went and did that, and I'm going to continue doing that to basically get the maximum amount of use out of any of those characters that I have planned to get rid of. But yeah, other than that, it's just going to be small little trickles of getting rid of them here and there to make sure that my power level gains for each one of these updates outclasses the amount of, you know, links that I'm losing through bobbling these characters. So yeah, hopefully if I do this properly, it's going to be a little bit meticulous to handle, but if I do it properly, then you should never see a negative number from me on this list. That's kind of the goal that I've got. So yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. Again, this is more experimental than anything because I haven't really gotten through a lot of this process, and it means that I'm going to be at pretty much full box space for a long time, and I'm probably going to start suffering in some of the same ways that Truth is, which I'm not looking forward to. So we'll see if that ends up changing things for me or influencing the way that I work this in the future. But for now, that's the plan. So yeah, that's basically everything I've got for you guys on my updated plan here, how I planned to catch Migate before I am dead, right? Before I turn into a grandfather. Yeah, I guess I gotta get back to it. Ugh, power level. Oh my goodness, this used to be fun, guys. This used to be so fun. It's just so stressful now. It eats at my core, let me tell you. Alright, well, let me know what you guys are doing as far as power level and things these days. How has the anniversary, the lack of the training in the clouds coming to anniversary affected you? How has, you know, now that we're months and months past the reverse update, what's that looking like for you? Now that we've got the access to 39.3, and it seems like there's a couple of people who are actively switching over to the slow but sure, you know, slow and steady wins the race type of grinding, choosing to save stones and not, you know, dump a ton of stamina into 38.7 all the time. Just let me know where you guys are at with your grind. I'm curious what side of these things you guys fall on. Alright, well, that's everything that I've got for you guys today. Thank you for so much for sticking with me, and I will catch you next. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. Literally didn't even do the I got sidetracked for an hour, and didn't even do the one thing that the video was about. Hey guys, look! I'm at 28 million power level. Look, I did it. Look, we did it. Oh, God. Alright. Now that's gonna do it. Catch you guys next time. Peace.